This segment of Delmarva Life is brought to you by Peninsula Home Care.
Okay, so just before the break, we learned how a lack of sleep can actually lead to obesity. And as we learned earlier this week, it can also lead to other chronic health conditions.
And for those who are already suffering from those conditions, an ideal treatment plan will allow them to live their best life no matter what led them to developing the condition in the first place. Now, there's new technology that can help. And as I recently found out, it not only helps them get better, it can allow them to get better at home.
For Howard Harrison of Dagsboro, there is nothing on earth as important to him as his family, especially his 14 grandchildren and 4 great-grandchildren.
Just having them around, the grandkids and then the great-grandkids, and, it just brightened my day up to see them.
But a chronic condition threatens the time he has left to spend with his family.
I had chronic heart failure. And what it is when your heart don't beat fast enough and the fluid builds up in your body and all. And when I went into the hospital the first time, I was in there for 20-some days. I came back home and had another heart failure that I was in there for 30-some days.
Harrison has no plans to go back to the hospital anytime soon. He's able to stay home as long as he's receiving his IV medication, something he's learned to maintain with a little help from his home health nurse and his family. His vital signs also need to be monitored. That's where telehealth comes in.
Telehealth is a monitoring system that is set up in a patient's home to review your most vital signs, your oxygen levels, your weight, and your blood pressure and your pulse. And it is then monitored in a satellite somewhere. And with that satellite, the nurses can review on a daily basis in a spreadsheet graph kind of form what actually is happening to the patient. This is what we bring to the house.
Everything a patient needs fits in this box. That includes a pulse oximeter, scale, blood pressure cuff, and a transmitter. Because of the threat of fluid buildup to Mr. Harrison's heart, he starts each morning by weighing himself.
The first thing I do, I get up in the morning, and after I go to the bathroom, I go and weigh myself. And that automatically goes into the telehealth.
He also takes his pulse ox, a measurement of oxygen in his blood, and blood pressure. Those measurements are transmitted back to Peninsula Home Care's office in Seaford.
And if something is wrong, they immediately call me and said, we got a warning light, something is wrong, I gained 2 pounds, or my blood pressure is too low.
Nurses at the home office will use the information to figure out what could have happened. Sometimes it's as simple as a patient not taking his or her medication that day.
If they didn't, then that's an easy remedy. If they did, then we're tracking and trending, calling the physician, saying, maybe we want to modify the medications, and then going out and seeing that patient again.
So far, the telehealth monitoring system has kept Howard out of the hospital and in his home, surrounded by family.
My job took me out of town 50% of the time. And, they didn't have me a lot of time because I was out with the federal government on task force and everything else. But they have come in and really have taken care of me, my grandkids. I got a granddaughter that is wonderful.
It certainly keeps him out of the hospital, and he's been on the system now for 7 weeks and no readmissions and doing very well.
Something that's also a big part of the Affordable Healthcare Initiative.
The healthcare initiative is looking to streamline and keep our resources within certain parameters. They want positive outcomes, and they are dinging, for lack of a better term, hospitals, physicians, home care agencies if those outcomes are not positive. This is just one more tool to help us reach those positive outcomes.
Howard Harrison is living proof.
I feel 100% better. I feel that I'm going to go until the end, and that God willing, I can do everything I want to do. And with the help of Janet and the nurses, everything is fine in my family.
And right now, Peninsula Home Care uses telehealth for patients with congestive heart failure and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. They plan to add patients with diabetes in the future. And if you would like to learn more about telehealth and Peninsula Home Care, go to our website, delmarvalife.com, and click on the Show tab.
Okay, so we just heard Howard talk about how important his grandchildren are to him. I'd be willing to bet my bottom dollar that you feel the same way about your kids and grandkids. That is why we're going to do anything to keep them safe. Well, up next on Delmarva Life, what items you probably have in your living room or kitchen right now that could be harmful, plus proactive measures that will help prevent mishaps from occurring in the first place.
And later, we're gearing up for another 5-minute recipe challenge. This time around, we're taking on WBOC's Karen Campbell and Chanel Douglas.
I feel this one coming. But first, we have teamed up with Sussex County Federal Credit Union to help you make better sense of your money. Here's Deb with this week's tip.
On behalf of Sussex County Federal Credit Union, I'm Debbie Jewell with this week's Dollars and Cents tip. As a dedicated partner for small business owners, we have an obligation to help you reduce expenses and maximize income. As a locally owned financial cooperative, we operate under the philosophy of people helping people and dedicate our efforts to the empowerment and betterment of our member owners. Every business is unique and should focus on the financial partner that offers the solutions and products to help maximize their company's potential. For the benefit of your bottom line, perform a cost analysis of your accounts once a year. Be sure you're not paying for hidden fees or excessive cash management of your accounts. And review your merchant processing costs, as well as your lines of credit, to look for opportunity to reduce expenses and improve your operating income. If you're not sure where to begin, contact Sussex County Federal Credit Union to ask for your complimentary analysis, which can be completed at your office for added convenience. Together, we can achieve more.